Hey, thanks for being a part of the conversation. Let's play it forward. These are real people with real stories. The struggle to play it forward. Episode number 618 is with Reinaldo Marcus Green, director of Bob Marley, One Love.
I'm great, man. How you doing?
Absolutely fantastic. I can't thank you enough for this film. And what I am dreaming and praying for every day when this movie even gets out there even further is that it teaches the songwriters that are hiding in their homes, bring it out. Bring out the love, bring out the togetherness and the community. This is that kind of a movie.
Yeah, for sure. Bob sang for something different. One love, it's inherent in the title. He sang for that unity. He sang for that peace. And he achieved that to a certain degree while he was here with us, and remarkable, especially given the circumstances in which he grew up. Abject poverty, homeless, absentee father, just an unlikely hero. He's not supposed to be who he is.
Yeah,
right. That's what society tells us, right? But what does he do? He turns that into beautiful music that people can enjoy. He turned his pain into our joy. And that's just remarkable. It's a reason for his movie to exist, and it's a reason why we love him.
Where the miracle is that so many people would be written off. They go, oh, he's just one of those artist type people. But people really fell in love with his music. They embraced him. But he never saw himself as a superstar. And you really paint that picture inside this film. You remind us it doesn't have to be about you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It was always about the common man and common woman. And I think that's why people really respond to him. He just... it was so interesting, the little details. I remember I was on set one day and we were shooting the scene where Bob gets off the plane in Jamaica after he comes home. And I think I originally had him get in the back seat of the car, and Ziggy was like, nah, Bob would never ride in the back seat. It's like, essentially, like, it's not Uber. Like, he would sit next to the driver if there was a seat in the front, because that was his common brethren. It wasn't just a driver, those little details that told you so much about who the man was. It was those kind of things that captured who Bob was and how he went about his business. And I don't know, I fell in love with him in the making of the movie, even more so than I did when I set out to make it. To
create so close to Ziggy. I mean, I've been with Ziggy. My God, he's got such love inside his heart as well. And to keep things so true, that you had to have been a student, and now you're a teacher.
Well, I hope I'm a pretty good teacher. I think in order to teach anything, you have to listen to what the students are giving you, right? Like, it's all about listening. It's all about, like, okay, how am I relating this message how am I communicating this message? And part of the job of the director is that communication, right? There's 300, 400, 500 people looking at you for answers, and you have to try to communicate effectively. And it's also like the things that you don't know. How do you communicate those things? And so I had to rely on a lot of people to help me do my job really well. And I think a lot of that is in trust, and being able to trust your crew, being able to trust your cast. And that's the alchemy. That's the stuff that you don't see, you feel when you watch the movie. And hopefully you feel like you've gotten an authentic experience. You feel like you've gotten great performances, and you've gotten great music, and you've gotten great cinematography, and great set design, and great sound design. And all those things should feel like natural. It should actually feel boring. Actually, I'm a baseball player. So, it's funny, when my wife watches baseball, she thinks it's super boring. And I think it's super exciting. And it's like, it's exciting that they make it look easy. That's the whole point. Like, that's what we're trying to do. It shouldn't look like it was really hard. It should look like we made it look easy. And that's the art of making movies. That's the fun part of it. And, it was fun to take on the challenge of Bob, and his message, his legacy, and to do it with the family was incredible.
I love the scene where they're playing the music on an acoustic guitar and the children are watching. I'm trying to figure out how to preserve that and share that even more and more and more. That, in the song, in the community, there's just such a powerful statement in that scene.
No, thank you for that. And I think, look, you have to take certain liberties when you're making a movie. Like there's no footage of that in his real life. There's no, and to me that scene is really it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for Bob and the legacy we want this film to have, that we want his message to have, is that he was singing for the next generation. And so to have his children around the fire, it has deep cultural resonance, right? Like, what did we do as cavemen and women? We sat around the fire. That's how we tell stories. And who are we telling it for, so that we can pass that message on? And so there's a poetry to that. I'm sure that, did it happen that way? I'm not sure, but it did happen. Doesn't mean that it's not real, even if we had to take certain liberties to create it. And it was a metaphor for how Bob lived his life, for how his music resonates today, and who this film is for.
I would love to see how many preachers are going to watch this film and take stories from it and put it inside their pulpit, because there are some lines here that just totally blow me away. Oh, I can bring peace. I can't even find peace in myself. My God, you could do a 50 or an hour long sermon just on that thought.
Yeah, man. Bob's the simplicity of his language, but just how profound it was. And I think it just, he had a lot of pain, man. He harbored so much pain to give us joy. And that's the mark of a great man. That's the mark of an icon. It's so special to have helped to bring this story to life. And I've learned so much about him. There's still so much more to learn, but I hope that the film gives people a reason to want to discover more about him, his family, and his music. Did
you do any personal journaling while you were in Bob's hometown? Because, I mean, the spirit has got to be very much still alive.
I think in another world, I might have been a photojournalist. Ooh. So it's funny, I've got, I don't know, close to 500,000 pictures on my iPhone. I just document my life. And so, yeah, I documented everywhere I went through photographs, because that's the way I learn. That's the way I write in a lot of ways, is through space. And that's the way I direct, right? If I'm sitting in if I go into a space and I sit down, That's my point of view of this scene. So a lot of it's like going back to, where did I sit when I went in there? Why did I choose this seat? Okay. And then, so it's just my perspective. It's how I see the world. And so, yeah, I think, journaling, I don't do it with pen and paper in the traditional way. I do it with my camera.
Wouldn't you say you're pretty much living up to the definition of your name, a universal connection, a purpose?
I'd like to believe I'm in pursuit of that.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe I'm in pursuit of that. As a baseball player, growing up, an athlete, you play 162 games a season, and then you hope to get to the playoffs, and then you hope to get to the sort of, World Series. Like that's the hope. If you play well enough and you have enough energy and your team can make it. And I think the journey is what it's all about. You're going to win, you're going to lose, but at the end, did you do enough? Did you do enough to get to the big dance? Did you do enough? There's plenty of flaws in the movie. There's plenty of flaws in the process, but did we do enough? And at the end of the day, if audiences are singing and dancing when they leave the theater, that's amazing. We did enough. And I think part of it is just the journey, being relentless about the journey, because the result is what it is. It's how people interpret it. They go to the movies, they liked it, they didn't like it, and then they move on. Yep. But the journey is what's important. And I don't know. I think that's what we're all on. That's all what we're in pursuit of. So I hope in my namesake that I'm just enjoying the journey and putting everything I can into that.
I love where your heart is. You've got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that so much.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
All right. I will try.